Well, hey everybody, and welcome to this midweek review with Mr. John. Do you know I love sports? I don't think I've said that here, have I? And one of my favorite sports, well, actually, it's not just one sport, it's a whole bunch of sports. It's the Olympics. But I like everything that kind of goes up to the Olympics, like trying out preliminaries, running races, and trying to get down to the final group of guys. But there's something that happens before the true Olympics starts, wherever it is, whatever country it's in. They do this kind of ceremonial thing where they run with the torch. Have you ever seen this? They run with the torch. They take some people and they start on a certain date and they just run across the country, and they run and run and run for a certain amount of miles, and then they meet up with somebody else and they pass the torch to the next person, and that person keeps running and running for a while, however long and however far it is they're supposed to run, and this torch never goes out and it never stops. So they plan from the time they leave this spot till the time the Olympics starts, and they light the big torch. This torch goes on and on and on, from person to person to person, from mile to mile. They run with this torch. But when I think of passing the torch, I think of passing on what I know to somebody else. And in the Bible, there is a great illustration of just how this is. There's this guy named Elijah. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple guys' names. I'm going to tell you, and they're very close. Here's how you remember. Elijah starts with a J. J comes before Elisha. Shah is with an S. So Elijah came first and then Elisha. But Elijah was this great guy. And we've talked about Elijah before when we talked about the transfiguration, when he showed up with him, Moses, and talking to Jesus. Remember that? This is Elijah. And he did great things. But he was getting older, and he knew his ministry time was coming to an end. So he took on what we would maybe call an apprentice. He took on this guy named Elisha, and he sat there and was kind of showing him the ropes and how he was doing things, but everything kind of went through Elijah. Well, one day Elijah knew his time was really coming to an end, and he looks at Elisha, and says, hey, if you could have something, if God could grant you something, what would it be? And Elisha says something to the effect of, I would like to have double of what you've got, what you have. And all of a sudden, the sky opens up and a chariot of fire comes down, picks up Elijah, and proceeds to take him up to heaven. And while Elijah is going up, he does something really weird. He takes his cloak, kind of like a cape, and he takes that off and he throws it down from the chariot going up into heaven. Now, you heard me right. Elijah gets to go to heaven, but he doesn't have to taste death. He doesn't have to die. He gets to go to heaven because he was such a great guy, great man, and a great man of God, that God took him up before he died. While the cloak is falling, can you imagine Elisha waiting there as this cloak falls down? And he's already seen some of the great things that this cloak has done for Elijah. Elijah needs to cross the Jordan River, and he takes it off of him and he slaps the river with it, and it parts to walk across on dry land. Elisha catches the cloak. And in that moment, the torch has been passed from Elijah to Elisha. Elisha is the man right now. And so Elisha, I don't know if he's going to test this out or what, but guess what he does? He takes the cloak, he goes to the Jordan, smacks the old Jordan with that cloak, and guess what? It parts, and he crosses back across. Now, Elijah, because he was a great man of God, he knew that eventually his time would come, that he would no longer be here. And he wanted to keep his ministry going. And so he invested, he put time, he put effort. He showed Elisha the ropes. How many times and how often are we willing to do this? Our egos sometimes get in the way of this. Have you ever seen that? I'm a big ball player, okay? I play baseball a lot. And it's hard when you start to get a little old in the game, you know. You just get older, you get slower, and all of a sudden there's this young dude who is green around the edges, just isn't quite to where he needs to be. Am I willing to sit there and come alongside this person and show them exactly how to play, how to do this, how to do that, how to throw the ball right, how to put your feet in certain positions? Am I willing to do this to make this guy better? Because in the long run, it's about the team, right? It's about him getting better, but helping everybody else on the team. Elijah knew he had to invest in Elisha to get him to a point where he could just take the reins and go and be just like Elisha. Now, I told you that Elisha he asked for, if he could have anything granted to him by God, that he would take a double portion of everything Elisha had. And here's the funny thing. If you go back to all the miracles that Elijah did and all the great things that Elijah did, and then you go to Elisha, it's exactly double. He did it. He performs 20 miracles where Elijah performed 10 in the Bible. He got what he asked for from God because he continued on the legacy that Elijah had given him. So guys, when you start to get in, you're in school and you maybe have the best grades in class and there's a guy that is asking you for help, don't be afraid that, he might get better grades than me. Hey, if he gets better grades than you, that shows you what a great teacher you are. Elijah was not afraid to have Elisha do twice as much as he did. But we remember Elijah for such a great man of God. But we also remember Elisha too. And if Elijah didn't train Elisha, we don't know what would have happened, right? So guys, verse is coming up next. I hope you're having a great week. Hey, I hope you had a great 4th of July and got to see all the great fireworks and stuff. Hey, it was popping and cracking around our house. I hope you had a good time. We'll see you next time. Hey, we'll continue with some more stuff about Elisha. That's right, Elisha. We'll see you later. Bye. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. Colossians 3:2.